Remember when you were a little child and you were convinced that when you grew up you would be a singer or a dancer or even run away with the circus? Did you do it? And if not, what changed? I'm Zelda Saint-Wilde, and with over 20 years' experience as a professional performer, I'm fascinated with what it is that holds so many back from pursuing their passion and what it takes to live the life we all deserve. Ask yourself, what if you were born to do this? And we love an inspirational woman on this show, as you know. So today's guest is definitely that. It's the international vocalist and DJ, Jodie Yang Cooper. Hello, Jodie.
Hello.
So nice to see you after so long.
I know, it's just flown, hasn't it? I just, now I'm seeing you, it feels like, what? I don't know. It doesn't feel very long. It doesn't feel, It's probably like 15 years, maybe more.
No.
It would be more, wouldn't it?
Would it?
I was 21 when I was in Vampires Rock, and now I'm 37. So yeah, it is 16 years.
Wow. Yeah, so me and Jodie, we met. Well, we did a show together. We didn't do Vampires Rock together, though. We did Bad Boy Johnny together.
Ah, we did. Yeah. It's
so we did Bad Boy Johnny. So Bad Boy Johnny would have been after Vampires Rock, I would think. So Bad Boy Johnny was a musical. So those that don't know, was a musical, and Jodie was like the lead singer, and we played nuns, obviously.
Yeah, it was a bit of a bizarre production, wasn't it? Really,
it was very bizarre.
Very
nuns
out there.
Schoolgirls, and then nuns. Yeah. So it was very it was a great tour though. It was a fun show.
I really enjoyed it. It was just you tried to explain it to someone. Well, this is sort of the storyline. It was a bit sort of Rocky Horror-ish, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because originally it was it Russell Crowe? Russell Crowe was Bad Boy Johnny originally.
Yeah. I think, did he write it or something, or he was?
I don't know, but I know that I think it was like an Australian thing originally, and then obviously we did a version in the UK. But it was interesting. It was good. It was good fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of those random things you take off the list, and
it's
actually something I often forget about, because it was actually a really short tour, wasn't it? And I think because it was in the middle of when we did the Vampires, or I did it and you'd done it separately, it was just quite a short little tour that I always forget about, but I always have like fond memories, when I get the notifications up on Facebook of the pictures and like backstage antics with the drink and the laughs and everything.
Rock and roll version of musical theatre, I think. So did you do a lot of musical theatre? Like I'm just going to go with that because that's what we were talking about now. So what was your kind of musical theatre before that? Like before I seen you obviously on stage, what was the background for you?
So I actually trained in musical theatre. So I started singing lessons at 9, and my singing teacher was predominantly musical theatre. I used to do the exams, which were London. I'd have to travel to London to do my exams. And then I would do, when I was younger, like the amateur productions, such as like Oliver or Showboat, and there were big productions, but albeit they were amateur ones. I've always loved musical theatre. I didn't actually ever do anything sort of in the West End. I did like touring shows. I did a lot of shows that were musical themed, but I was so itching to sort of get out of the UK after I'd finished studying, and I just wanted to travel. And unless I'd have stayed rooted in London and got an agent, then I wouldn't have been able to do that. And it's such an industry that's swamped with female singers that are very good. So you're like a small fish in a huge sea. So I just was like, I'd rather be going out and doing it than waiting and auditioning and just pinning hopes on that I might get that lucky break.
If you're going to do the West End thing, you really need to commit that's what
without a doubt,
all your eggs in that basket. You're not going to be like, we might do a bit of West End, might do a bit of traveling away. It's like you really have to do that graft, don't you, to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's like being in that loop. If you get out of that loop or off that like hamster wheel of auditioning, you fall out of people's mind. You're not the first name that springs to mind when people are thinking, I need a singer, or I know recommendations for someone. And I think as soon as you leave for a period of time, I think the same can be said about where you live anywhere in the UK or wherever it be overseas, and you work self-employed, if you're not constantly gigging, then your name sort of gets to the back of the pile, and there's always someone new and upcoming, isn't there? So you're
and it always feels a little bit like starting again when you return.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Finding the agents, finding the bookings, getting the promo updated. It is like a constant, well, like a work in progress, isn't it?
Yeah. So where did you go first then after you like graduated and you were off working? What was the first contract you did? Did you just go overseas and start that way?
So I did singing lessons. So I did all my external exams, which was when I was still living at home. You know, I was sort of 17 by the time I finished all my exams. So my first contract was on it wasn't a cruise ship. It was like sort of a huge ferry that went from, where did it go from? I think it was somewhere like Southampton to Bruges or France or somewhere like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd just turned 18 when I got that contract. You have to be 18 to sort of get these overseas gigs. It was a dry ship, meaning you weren't allowed to drink, or it was quite a strict ship. I, being me, after 2 weeks, went to a party on the ship and was unfortunately the one that got caught, and then I got fired. And that was my first job. My first job. You know, everyone it was renowned for having parties, and you know, every week they would pick someone out to do a sample breath test. That person was me.
Oh no!
It's on my first job.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so lesson learned: don't drink on a dry ship.
No.
So that was my first job, and then instantly after that, I was lucky enough to, I actually auditioned for Butlins and became. They're called show reds. Mm-hmm. So at 18, I was a red coat basically that did all the production shows, but still had to do, you know, the dressing up as Billy Bear or the children's entertainment or DJing, you know, everything you had to do. It was endless. I mean, it was like 48 hours a week or something stupid like that for £200 a month.
That is crazy. So what was that like? That must have been madness, because when you think about it, I suppose at that age, that's the same as when people are going to uni and going a bit mad, like whatever they're doing. Partying. It's that era, regardless, isn't it? Even though you're doing all this work, was it still very much like that? Like you've just been, you know, thrown into the world away from the parents and off you go, and it's all a bit madness? Or was it you were working so hard it was quite straight and strict?
I mean, you know, with being a red coat, you're surrounded by like 30 other red coats that are also similar age, similar interests. You know, they either want to be a singer or a dancer or a presenter, or some are just absolutely wacky human beings that are just there for that reason. But yeah, I mean, it was really fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, like we did work hard, but you know, they had staff parties. We drank after work. We went to like, you know, like people's rooms and had gatherings. It was hard work, but I think at that age, because you are so young, you don't get tired. You've got the stamina.
Yeah.
You don't need your 8 hours sleep. It's fine.
No, just non-stop, because it's exciting as well, isn't it? It's like, you know, when you want to be performing and now you're doing it for a living and there's all these like things going on and you don't really want to miss out. So I suppose you just kind of it's straight in.
It is hard. I mean, it is definitely the most hard work entertainment job I've ever had, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, you do graft. You know, no 2 days the same. You know, you're up at 8 dressing up as a bear, waving people in at reception. You then get changed. You then jump into a kids club where you have to host like a Fireman Sam tea party, and then you know you have a bit of a break, and then you could be, I mean, like you could be performing as Britney Spears that evening and then DJing afterwards. But it is constant.
Yeah, and these are not jobs that you can be a little bit, you know, like half effort, is it? It's like you need full on these things. This is like, you know, entertaining the kids, entertaining the adults. It's full on.
It's full on. Like there is no down days where you feel a bit rubbish and you're like, I can't be doing with this. You have to switch it on and then just go like when you get back to your like apartment or wherever you were staying.
Yeah, but I suppose on a training aspect, that's priceless. You know, what that teaches you for your career moving forward.
It's like an entertainment workhouse. It's just but you learn everything. You learn to stand up on stage and be able to just ramble for 5 minutes to fill gaps if the music doesn't start, or if, you know, you have someone on stage that's not very talkative. You learn to DJ there, you learn to sing and perform, because you do it that often, it just becomes part of you.
Yeah.
So it is good in that way. It just reminds me of like some Korean K-pop factory where you're just
and in
just
that way, it's fantastic, really, isn't it? Because like,
yeah, it is.
Learn all that at that time when you're young and you're hungry for it. That can kind of set you up for your whole career.
Yeah, definitely. I was always saw myself as just a singer. Never, you know, I've never been sort of like a kid sort of silly entertainer. I always felt a bit cringe doing that. So as soon as I could get away from that, loved my experience there, but ready to go kind of thing. So I did a contract in Spain, a bit similar to Butlins, but no day duties. So I went to Spain to work for, and actually it's a British company that are still operating now, and have God knows how many hotels under their belt, called RJP, I think it was called. They have like, I say 20 hotels in Salou that they just supply entertainment for. They also supply, again, like a bit like the Butlins Redcoat people that go in and do the games in the pool, the the bingo in the evenings, and then they have people like myself that just went around the hotels to sing. So I would do 2 45 minutes a night, 6 nights a week in different hotels on, let's say, like a 2-week rota. So I'd be in the same place every 2 weeks. Spain was wild. I had the best time there. It was crazy. We got so friendly with all the bar staff. We knew all the bars to go to, all the clubs to know you. So you just could sort of swan around and get free drinks and feel like you knew everyone. It was weird, like although it was Spain, there were so many British employees and bars. It was also almost like Britain by the sun.
Yeah.
It was party central there. I mean, I can't remember a lot of it.
So as a singer, how do you do that? How can you go out and like party and live that lifestyle and then have the voice that you've got where you're singing really demanding shows like that? Like 2 45 minutes is not an easy gig. And then to do that 6 times a week. So is that just because you were so well trained?
I think that's a huge part of it. The training, because you learn to breathe properly. I wasn't drinking at gigs. I don't drink before I'm singing ever. Maybe one, but never more than that, because I don't want to forget words. It makes my voice dry. But if I go out the night after, let's say I finish my gigs, I then drink. Sometimes it is an issue, which is when I'll instantly rein it back. I think when you sing 245, pop music is really easy to sing. You just pick songs that are really easy, and I think that's what I tended to do. There were periods when I lost my voice, but that goes without saying for anywhere. I did burn the candle too at both ends there as well. But again, I was still so young. If you saw my routine now, it's worlds apart from what it used to be, because I just know that my voice is my instrument, and if I lose that, then life and career are over. So I'm really totally different.
But you've got to go through that period of time, and I think that's like, because that's what I'm saying, it's like your equivalent of when people are at university and they just embrace
that was it
life. That's like your transition period, isn't it? So you're gonna embrace it. But it's just fascinating to me, like, because your voice is your instrument. Your voice is fantastic. I'm a big fan of Jodie's voice, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there, because I got to hear her live on the tour, and you've got a voice that gives goosebumps, and I love that. But that's why, so it's just like, it fascinates me, because you probably also, you might not remember, but I used to lose my voice all the time.
Oh, I know. Well, I did on the tour.
Really bad.
But the key for me is if I can't hear myself, that's when I start losing my voice. So for example, if I'm in a venue and it's got really poor speakers, or if I work with a band, I will lose my voice, which is why I used to lose my voice often on the Johnny tours and the Vampires Rock. It was
a live band, wasn't it? All of it.
Bands and my voice do not mix. If you put me with a band for 2 or 3 nights, I will lose my voice, because I just can't fight over their amps. I don't ever think I get the right mix. Every time I've worked with a band, I will lose my voice. So I'm always like, no, I'm not a band singer. It just doesn't sit well. It's just like, doesn't go together.
It's just not a match for you. That makes sense though.
Yeah, no. So I've never really done gigs with bands apart from, the live shows, which, the balance just isn't right sometimes for me.
And I think that's the thing that you learn as well throughout your career, don't you? Like, because you can sing anything really, but I suppose you've got to then start thinking, well, what makes sense, and what's like the best jobs to take rather than just jobs that, maybe are a bit interesting or things. Is there anything that you've, like, at this point, like, is there anything you've not done at all that you would love to do? Because I feel like you've done so many different types of shows. You've done millions of shows everywhere.
Yeah,
Like,
that's a really, really good question, actually. I mean, now at my stage of career, I would love to do like a huge festival, just as the singer DJ. I mean, that may become possible in the next year or two. I'm starting to get inquiries for that kind of booking now.
Yeah.
Which has taken time. You have to build the profile and build the act and word of mouth and get your videos and your promo all up to scratch. So that's starting to happen. I've done a small festival, but to play something even on a small stage at a big festival would be like a massive career highlight for me. That I guess is something I've not done but would love to. I mean, obviously you want ultimate fame, don't you, in stardom? I think I can sort of forget about that
what we're
now.
all doing it for, let's face
Yeah.
it.
I mean, I'm at a stage where I'm really happy with where I'm at. I'm doing some really amazing gigs. I'm getting paid well for it, and I have free time to also improve the act and learn. So I'm in a good place at the minute. But whichever place you go, you always want to climb on the next rung of the ladder.
Yes. So when did the DJing, because obviously you did a little bit of it when you first started because you were doing everything, but when did it become like a serious thing? Like you started adding that to your music and you were DJing professionally?
So the Butlins thing was not really DJing, if you know what it is.
Just like
it was cross-fading tracks.
Yeah.
So it was called DJing at Butlins, but it really was just press play, fade into the next one, and then vice versa.
Yeah.
So there was no mixing or jog wheels or CDJs. It was literally like
it's literally just
Dave kind of style. So I learned to DJ when I was in China. So I learned, let me think now. So that would be, I was 28. So it's about 9 years ago, I learned to DJ in China. And the reason being was electronic music is my passion. Like music, it's very weird. I love musical theatre. I love like classical Hans Zimmer sort of soundtrack music. And I love electronic music.
Yeah.
So all very, very obscure. I don't really like much stuff in between that. I'm a bit of a like musical, I will say, I won't swear, but one of them kind of people that only like certain types of music. So I guess it's good to know what you like. So I lived in China and I was approached by a guy that I'd done vocals for, like a dance track for him. And he's like, why don't you learn to DJ? I'll teach you. Because in China, like there is no sort of foreign female DJs. So he taught me to DJ on vinyls. Don't do it anymore. I've sort of, I guess, fell out of it. I'm not sure if I could even probably do it anymore.
Which is really difficult, isn't it? The vinyl DJ aspects of things.
And he said, I'll teach you for free if, the first few bookings, I'll take 50% of your earnings. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great deal. So he got me DJing at these like massive basketball like games. And then I did like a Heineken tour of all these different clubs, which was amazing. Did my stint for him, and then I'd already, I'd got the skill then, so I then went off and did my own thing. Didn't do that much DJing in China, still was more singing. And then I came back to the UK and bought myself like a little controller. Thought, right, I'm just gonna start to try and get some DJ gigs, because there's plenty of gigs out there for a singer, but there's also thousands and thousands of female singers that also sing, just like me, and work can be scarce. So I don't ever want to feel in a position where I'm like, I've got no work, I need to do something different that I don't like. So I thought I'll learn to DJ, and then I can go and be a female DJ, and I can do singing, and I can teach singing. So I've got my hand in 3 different pies there. So picked it back up, got myself a few little gigs, here in the UK. And then I think it was 2017, I was thinking, you know what, I could actually do vocals while I'm DJing and just pick tracks that have got instrumentals or real long, like dub tracks that have got very minimal singing on, and I could just freestyle. So I started doing that. And then I thought, I'm going to have a promo video because no one's going to book me with me
this is
doing
what
this.
fascinates me, because when I was like, right, she's a vocalist and a DJ, but never really did I realize that it was at the same time until recently we were talking about this. I was like, yeah, she's a singer, she's got an amazing voice, and she's a DJ. And it was all kind of like in two separate entities in my mind. And then I was like, what? Together? This is fantastic.
Which is actually, it is. So I'm obviously it took me ages to perfect it because it's juggling act. I need to mix and I need to remember what key I'm in to sing on this track, and then I know I've got a track coming in on this side, so I'm having to, you know, change the BPM, move the jog wheel to make sure that everything's synced up, and then put the mic down and do this, and then mix that song in, and then pick the mic up smoothly to sing the next song. So you can imagine, like, the first few months were just a car crash of like, you know, all mismatched and messy. And then, you know, the more you do it, the better it gets, and you choose the right songs, and you think your musical knowledge just becomes better with which tracks work and which flow. So I got to that point like 6 months down the line, and then thought, right, I want to pay to get a promo video done. So I mixed and chose the songs that I wanted, got the video filmed in the July, then got the video back maybe like August, and then sent out to loads of agents, loads of venues, and got loads of interest back for like showcases in the November, the December, because my plan was, I wasn't massively bothered about getting gigs on that year. I was like, it was for the next year I wanted, because it would give me more time. Then COVID happens.
Oh, great. Good old COVID.
So that put me back like a year and a half. So all these bookings that I had racked up for I think it was 2020, was it? I can't remember what year it was. Anyway, 2020, I think it was, or 21, whenever COVID first fell, everything got cancelled. Every booking got cancelled, not just singing. All my students couldn't come anymore. I went online with a few of them, and I had no bookings, no work, nothing.
It's frightening.
So had to become a carer, and just, sliding down the walls for, well, a good 7 months because I couldn't perform. So I was like, oh my God, like I did not envisage life to be like this. And totally different life that I had to leave.
The first time you'd ever done any kind of job that wasn't in entertainment? Was that like the first proper job as people?
Apart from uni, you know, at uni I did bar jobs and stuff, but at uni I was studying music. So
it's like, always to like hand in hand, it's for the bigger cause. So that was the first real job, and I just have so much respect for people that do that, and that just do that day in, day out. It is exhausting. Absolutely exhausting. I used to do 6 a.m. till 2 p.m. and then sometimes do a split shift and do then 4 until 10. I mean, it's exhausting, but you don't realize how many people are in need. It's absolutely frightening. You
know, and actually it's exhausting. From a lot of people can't bear their own weight, so there's a lot of lifting and rolling, and, you know, people that are, you know, naturally bedbound, that are, you know, they weigh quite a lot, so to maneuver them and, you know, like, I guess just deal with learning to have to do personal care, and just completely different, a totally different life.
And it must be so difficult emotionally as well, because that's not even something that you kind of prepared towards, or
no
it's a lot, really. Like, it's such a shift, isn't it? It must like go home and like kind of affect your emotions.
Were you just thinking like, oh my goodness, like, let's, you know, this client I've just been to see, like, they don't look very well, and you're like, oh, they're going to be all right, and, you know, you do form like little bonds with people. You wouldn't, but you get your little favorites, and, you know, you look forward to seeing them, and if they sort of go downhill, or, you know, worst case scenario, pass away, it's like, oh God, like, it happens so often. You just, by the end of it, it was sort of like, oh no, what a shame, like, you weirdly got hardened to it.
And so when you started performing again, it's like it's crazy, isn't it? Because when you're not doing that thing that you love, that you've always done, it's hard in general, isn't it? It's hard on the mind.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I just would come home and just be exhausted, and, you know, you just feel a bit zombie-ish because nothing's driving me. I've got nothing to sort of I didn't have anything massively to look forward to. Obviously COVID then passed, and then, you know, the bookings all came in. Most of them were rescheduled, or there was weddings that had booked me, or gigs that, you know, they've rescheduled their event. So if we sort of fast forward a year and a half, then it picked up massively, and there was, you know, constant like run of events, because there was so much demand and pent up like energy from people that had been cooped up for so long. But I remember after COVID, like the first couple of gigs, I actually felt for the first time ever like nervous, like I can't think what to say between the songs anymore, because I don't know what nothing's happened for the last year and a half. I've sort of lost.
It's strange because you've done it your whole life, and then that kind of going back to it was a weird crossover period again. I felt like it was weird to jump back in. I mean, singing's not my thing. It does make me feel a bit nervous singing. It's not like I do get a panic. This is why I like
how I feel
when people sing, but
with dancing, I just like I feel like a slug that's had salt poured on it when someone makes me dance, you know, like oh, I can't do it.
But you have to dance so many times, don't you, in loads of shows?
Well, it's when I think it's always been instilled in me from so many auditions in London, where I've gone as a singer to audition, and they'll be like, right, we're doing the dancing first, and no, I'm gonna get voted out instantly. And you know, they'll give you a routine really quick, and they'll be like, right, let's do it in groups of 4 in front of a massive mirror. And I was always the one that was just like an absolute, like, I don't know, like Bill and Ben the Flower Pot Men kind of person at the back.
That's me. I'm the opposite. So if there's ever anything that involved like singing, I think, well, I can get by, but my strength was the dancing side and that kind of thing. So if they would always say, well, we'll get you all to offer like sing your solo part first, I think, no, because I'll never get any further. It's over. I need to win you over first for my dance.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you'll think she's not that bad singing. We can blend her in somewhere. But the other way around, you're like, oh God, no. No,
for me it's the same. And you know, obviously I do dance now, but it's my own, it's jigging around a bit. It's not like some choreographed routine where I have to keep up with everyone. Mainly now it is just the singer DJ is my most booked act. I teach as well now, so I've got I think 12 students that come privately to me that I teach the musical theatre for, actually. So I've still got my hand in that pie, but more like the guidance and the passing on the tips and like teaching stage presence, which is really hard actually. Like you don't actually notice that people haven't or have got it until you ask them to sing a song in front of you, and then it's sort of like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do with my arms. You know, naturally as a singer or performer you would do that, but some students just don't have that ability yet because they've not been out and performed, so it's giving them a bit of guidance on that as well.
So you're talking about traveling obviously with your singing and your DJing and stuff, and you touched upon China briefly before, but can you tell us about that, because that was like a big part of your life, wasn't it? That was like a big thing for you for years. How did that come about?
So I was there for just over 5 years. So I went, my friend was out there, actually, Emily, who you know very well as well.
Yes, Emily.
So Emily was out there doing a short contract, and had basically told me, oh, there's this job in China, like you only sing like 3 songs a night with really good salary. It's like you dressing up like Lady Gaga in these like huge super clubs. And I was like, yeah, that sounds all right. I like a bit of that. Great. So she passed the agent that she was working for my contact details, and they got in contact and offered me this 3-month tour. I think I started in Shanghai, and they'd basically got this itinerary of God knows how many dates. I think we did about 40 cities in China over 3 months. So they put me with 4 Spanish dancers, and we had to practice, you know, like We Found Love, that kind of track, Calvin Harris type tracks, you know, the big dancey numbers. I don't think Dua Lipa was around at that time, but yeah, those kind of tracks. And so we would go to each city and do 3 songs in these tours, and stay in hotels and travel on buses and fly to each city over like the space of 3 months, which was relentless. I loved it, but I hated it at the same time. I couldn't communicate with anyone. It drove me mad. My dancers were all Spanish, so they tended to speak in their own language. So there would days would go by sometimes, and I'd like, I just want to chat to someone in English and have a sandwich. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was the one place that I felt like an alien. Like, this is like so far removed from every other country that I've ever visited. Yeah. Contract ended, and I then went back to UK for only about 2 months. And then when I was touring, I'd gone to so many different clubs, and you have this app called WeChat, which is like WhatsApp, I guess, but it's got way more apps and applications. You can order food off it, you can book taxis, you can do you've got your banking details, everything you can do on this app. So you would sort of stored loads of numbers of, club managers that were Chinese but spoke English. And I got back, and then I had a club manager message me saying, I want to offer you a 6-month contract. I'll give you accommodation. I'll buy you flights, 2 or 3 songs a night, 2 days off a month. I'll give you X amount of money, which I was just like, oh, that sounds all right. Mm-hmm. So I went back there in a place called Chengdu, which is actually where I spent sort of 4.5 years. Did my 6-month contract. In the meantime, had met a very good-looking Chinese man that is now my husband.
Yes.
So yeah, we didn't speak the same language, but for some bizarre reason, we had this insane connection.
Oh.
So yeah, we just message each other with the, like translator. And I'm like, and it was driving me mad that I couldn't communicate. He could say, I think, about 4 words like taxi, I love you, and yellow, or something random. I'm like, this is not going to work.
This is quite a challenge.
Our conversation is going to be very limited. So I started taking Chinese lessons, because it was like I think it was something like £6 for a 2-hour lesson, 1-to-1.
Wow.
And I'm only working, remember, like 3 songs a night. So I've got basically 23 hours and more a day.
It's crazy when you think, yeah.
Yeah. So I started to take these Chinese lessons, and basically weirdly picked up very quickly. I think it's because I was so surrounded by it, and I never heard English. So it was like I had to learn it. Otherwise, unless you went to somewhere like Starbucks or somewhere a little bit more Western, you wouldn't hear English very often. Some of the agents spoke English very well. Some people did it, but it was not that common. And I just got frustrated that I couldn't communicate. And I'd worked with another agent that I thought was ripping me off. So it was just, I needed it for
and that's the thing, you're quite vulnerable when you're not speaking the local language, aren't you? Like even here in Ibiza and being like in Spain, you really do need to kind of get your head around all these things, because you're isolated and you're vulnerable. You don't understand what your documents are saying necessarily. You've got to really do that extra work. And I think the more you kind of can pick up the language, you just feel totally different. You forget how easy it was when you were all speaking the same language. Not an easy language to learn, is it, that though?
No.
No, as far as languages go, I think it's quite probably one on the record that a difficult one to learn.
I think it's harder because we associate it with the characters. The characters are insane, and I can read a fair amount. I can't read a newspaper, but I can read text messages, and like I could have this conversation with you in Chinese, no problem.
Yeah.
But I couldn't read a newspaper. Anything technical, I can't read. I can't write anything. I have no idea how the strokes to write them, but I just recognize they're like little pictures I see, and that's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started to learn the language, and then I was with Yantan, who's other half now. And because of that, and we were immersed in each other's life by that point, I was working in the clubs, I was speaking to customers. I'd made a few Chinese friends. It just got easier and easier to fast forward, let's say 4 years, and absolutely fluent, doing shows fully in Chinese.
You sing now like that, yeah, don't you? Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Wow. So like now in January, like in UK, I usually do 3 or 4 Chinese events. Like I'm doing that actually on Monday in a casino in London, because the Chinese community there. So yeah, I've actually kept and been able to still do that here, which is, I guess, another little hand in the pie. Chinese singing.
Amazing. I mean, that's it. It's like, talk about niche. You just think, come on now, there can't be that many. There can't be that many singing DJs that can also sing in Chinese. Like, come on, I've whistled it down to Jodie. That's it.
I need to also put maybe sing in Chinese and DJ as well. I mean, that makes it just like even more
completely like one human being in the whole world.
A lot of the gigs in China, the audiences get bored very quick, which is why you only sing 3 songs.
Right. Because that seemed crazy, doesn't it, really? If you've got an act
It's
on that
mad.
you're just going to do 3 songs and then that's it, you done.
Yeah, so you go to the club, so there's no dance floors. They're huge clubs, but they're just like we would have a huge dance floor and it'd be full of people with drinks. So in China you have massive stages that sort of rise up out of the crowd. It sounds wacky as anything, but that side of it is amazing. But you have like sort of round tables, and on every table you would have like your own waiter, and you have dice on it, and there's no bars, you don't queue at a bar, you order a bottle for that table and so
Right.
many
So, yeah.
mixers, and then they play dice and they play drinking games. So when they've watched one song, bored now, let's play the
Right.
dice.
They want to get back
So
to what
that's
they're
what happens.
doing. Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's more
yeah.
like
So like,
that's like the interval, and this is the
yeah,
real reason you're here, like the game and the table and
yeah,
watching with
yeah.
your friends.
So it's
Wow.
just dice. It's dice. All you see is dice and people, doing paper, rock, scissors, drinking games. There's no like, our culture is sort of, we go to a bar, we grab a
Mm-hmm.
pint, we sit at a table and we have a chat. We don't
Yeah.
need music, we don't need entertainment, we don't need dice.
Yeah.
But there it's very much like, need a distraction or something. Yeah. There's a singer on in 10 minutes. That one finishes, then another half an hour later, another singer will pop up on a stage doing something else. And then the dice will be going, and then there'll be bottles of champagne with like sparklers coming out. It's like madness.
So what an experience though, because you've got a husband out of it, you've got
I
an
did get a
extra
husband out of
language,
it.
look at all these things. I mean, like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of it, I fell out of love massively. We decided, well, we'd got married in China. Yanton had proposed by that point. I'd done Chinese Idol, which
Yeah, Chinese Idol. I
yeah,
forgot
yeah, I
about
forgot
this.
about
So like
that.
just thrown that in and just let's just whiz over that one. Tell us about this. Tell us about
Yeah,
Chinese
so
Idol.
Chinese Idol was basically like the equivalent of the X Factor, or
Mm-hmm.
like Pop Idol, what we used to have here.
Yeah.
So I just did an open audition, just queued up, only Westerner in the queue. I was queuing for hours. And then I got dragged sort of to the front by some production people like, come on, an audition now. So I can't remember what I sang actually. I think I sang I Will Always Love You because they absolutely love it over there. And I think I sang
Mm-hmm.
a Chinese song. And then I got to the TV stages and did the TV audition, got through that, and then went to the boot camp. So essentially like the live show stages
Yeah.
of what we would see. Got, through quite a lot of weeks of that. The thing is, what the producers were saying to me was like, you've got a good chance of winning there. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna win Chinese Idol. Like in my mind, they're
It's
telling
crazy.
me
It's like a film.
this is like staff that are telling me, production assistants, research is like, this is gonna be your year, Jodie. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't know why they did that to me, because it just made me think, oh my God, I'm gonna win it. Like, I'm gonna be like super famous. This is my dreams come true. And then lo and behold, like the week after I got voted off. And
Oh.
I was did the full on crying on screen because I just couldn't believe it in my mind. I'm like, you said I was going to win it. Maybe they did that because they knew I was going to be voted off and wanted a more of a
Maybe
dramatic
they
exit.
wanted to build the drama and really push up the emotions.
So I left it, and then I left it, and then I just went into like a hole. I just thought, oh my God, like I can't do this anymore. I actually even performing. I did some massive events after that because, of course, I was sort of semi well recognized
Yeah.
because of being on the show, and I was the only white sort of female Westerner there, so you do get recognized a bit more. So I did like huge shows, a bit like the festival-y stuff,
Yeah.
sort of one hit wonder kind of thing. And then after about a year, that fizzled out. In that period, Anton and I had got married, and it had been in all the newspapers. We were like on the equivalent of the front of like an OK magazine in China. It was so
I remember
random.
seeing this on your social media, and I was like, what the hell's going on? I love it. I just think it's amazing.
So weird. It was so weird.
You did a TED talk and everything, didn't you? You did all these like amazing things. It's like superstar Jodie. I love it.
I did do a TED talk. Yeah, I forgot about that. Thanks for
It's because it's all normal to you now. Me on the outskirts watching, like, go on, Jodie.
I'm just like, there's so many things that happened. I obviously remember when you tell me, but you just forget. It was so many things that happened. There was a massive backlash as well. Like Yantan got it absolutely left, right, and center. Like, because he was like a village guy, and in China they often would expect that two people from a similar background would marry. So obviously I'd done Chinese Idol, I'm Western. They thought that I come from, you know, they naturally think you're Western, you come from a wealthy background, which is not the case. Working class northerner. So probably on a par, similar, maybe slightly elevated to sort of where Yantan was, but by no means like this princess that they think that you are. I mean, it's just really so he got loads of, you know, like terrible comments, and you know, and then there was things in the paper that had said like, oh, we don't even speak the same language, like I'm obviously lost my mind and I've just randomly married a Chinese man, loads of things. And I was like, oh my god, like I can't cope with this. But he was fine. He was like, just ignore it. Like, why are we together? Because I am a stress head and you are the
balance each other out. That's it. You
need one.
You need the contrast sometimes.
Yeah.
Was so that part of the reason why you came back over here, or not? Nothing to do.
I mean,
to do with the fame and the dramas in there.
No. I mean, we think we were there like another, because a year I had really huge events and bookings, so I was loving life. Not when I got booted out for a couple of months, because it took a while then for the bookings to come in. So I did have a meltdown after that for about a month. But no, we came back because I'd come back to the UK, and obviously we'd got married in China but not done a UK wedding. So we were all planning to do like you know, the UK white wedding here. Like we were going to do it a year after, but without, you know, having a registrar. We just had like a celebrant. So yeah, we came back. I had the hen party, and then I just had this switch. I was like, I can't live there anymore. Like I was on my hen parties with the best time, my family and my friends. I'm like, I don't want to be there anymore. Then I went back and told Yantan, like, I can't live in China anymore. Like, we need to move to the UK. But he didn't really speak any English.
Oh God, it's hard. It's hard
to learn. So we bought loads of English books. I'm like, right, phonetics, here we go.
Yeah. And was he up for it? Was he just like, yeah, come on, let's do it? Or was it? It's hard. It's a big change.
Oh, massive. I mean, this was not like an immediate thing. We got married. We did the wedding. So we'd come back, had the hen party, and then the wedding was like 6 months later. Then I went back to China for a year and was just like, the scales had tipped. So I just hated being there. I was just every day like, I just can't be doing that. I barely left the house unless I went to gigs. I just didn't go anywhere. I had my cats at home with me. I had my TV, my laptop, and my comfort of I'm safe in this zone and I don't want to go out. So anytime I went out, people just annoyed me. Everything annoyed me there. I just had gone completely the other way.
It was done for you right
then. I think once you've written it off, it's the end, isn't it?
Yeah, because once you stop trying, then don't you? It's like you've made it up in your mind, so there's no persuading you. Then it's like, no, I'm done. I'm not going to try.
So yeah, we did the wedding here. Went back. I just stuck it out with work. Yantan was then working for a really big event company, so we managed to save like a really good amount and bring back, because we need that then to do all the visa stuff, which just took months and was stressful. And yeah, I won't go into all that because it really is just a long and winding story, but it took 7 months. He then came over, and yeah, we worked for an entertainment company here. And then when I'd got enough gigs, then I quit and went fully back into singing. But it did take a while to settle in, you know, like much probably like when you move to Ibiza, it's like, don't know where this is, I need to find an apartment, I've got no furniture.
Like step back to step forward, because you don't continue where you left the last place. You have to kind of start again and start building, and everything's like an organization period, and you're at the mercy of legal things and all sorts, aren't you? And it's different.
My song just got signed to Saint-Wilde.
Wow, yes, tell us about this.
So this is a huge trance label. It's one of the biggest trance labels outside of the majors, you know, like Sony and all of those. So yeah, I just did a song with a German producer that sent a track over, recorded our vocals, he's mixed it, sent it out, and yeah, yesterday it got signed. So so exciting.
That's amazing. Congratulations. So did you say it was due for maybe September, October time? That's the kind of
I think because it's a larger label. I mean, I've got ones that are on smaller labels, but they just don't get the promotion. You know, you maybe get 10,000 listens on Spotify, but it's hard to get above that because it's just which one song, isn't it? And
Yeah.
absolutely thousands, millions. So the label, this one, they already have sort of a huge following, and they push the promotion, and it's planned and scheduled. So I think at the minimum they expect 100,000 streams on Spotify per song. So yeah, that's really good.
Wow,
So I'm
so
going to
it's
hope that
exciting.
I'm hoping that the that track would maybe open the doors to the the festival scene.
Yeah.
Can I get on the festival scene, a trance festival or dance music, as a singer or as a singer DJ, which would be, I guess, more of a sellable package than just having me as a singer. But yeah, I'm hoping that's like the natural stepping stone to that.
Yeah. It's all rolling. It's all
Fingers crossed.
happening.
I'm
It's
like, I
exciting
always think
times.
that, oh my God, I'm getting too old for this. I'm getting too old. Like,
Never.
it's such an ageist business, isn't it? Like,
Yeah. And I was talking about this on the podcast as well the other week about age and about how I feel like it's held me back a lot of the time because you have this chip on your shoulder yourself, and it's not like every profession, because there is actually a time limit for a lot of people.
oh
Whether,
yeah, there is,
it's
doubt.
not like we've imagined this, like we're running out of time. Oh my God, when you get to 30 or when you get into 40 and all these things, it is a real thing in the industry, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So it is very much there. But then now I'm also thinking, you know what? So what? Because there's so many things we could be doing, and there shouldn't be anything stopping us. And if you can still do it to the best of your abilities, which, is what's happening, screw it. Keep doing it.
I think you just got to take care of yourself, keep looking presentable.
Yeah. And who even knows? No one even knows how old you are, like
No, of course
and
not.
like when you look at people now, like in the entertainment industry and like the big superstars and stuff, obviously, that we've grown up with, they're getting on now, let's face it. And there's a lot of them, they're not slowing down. And I think fair play, that's the way you want to be going,
Yeah.
You don't
I
think
think it's
Madonna's
just
moaning about being in the 60s. She's like, no, I'm announcing this tour. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the thing is like when you're, not that we're starting out, but I think you just got to know, I'm not going to be a pop star anymore. That's gone. That ship has sailed. But I think now it's my passion, and it always has been actually, is the dance music. And actually there is no face of a dance music singer.
And there's
So I
nothing
can be
to
doing
give you
this until
an age limit on that at all. No.
and I think that's
It's
where
all
I'm at
exciting.
anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at. I don't necessarily want to be pop star anymore. I'm definitely more, I think I'm settled on like electronic music, being an electronic music kid.
Yeah. And you've had such an exciting career, and you've done a bit of everything. And this is the thing, like, I think the older you get, you have to then also start realizing that your needs and your wants and your goals do change. And maybe some of the things you didn't think you got at the time, or you didn't get to the level you wanted, maybe that wasn't really right, and it's not what you wanted, and it's okay to shift a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's good too, because now this opens up a whole new avenue that you can kind of push on with, and maybe it wasn't the Chinese Idol scenario or the pop star, but it's like that journey is bringing you to something still huge, and you just keep enjoying it along the way and embracing it. But I think no, don't ever think of age anymore. Just dismiss it, like la la la, it's not happening. You know what I mean?
Booked into some more things, please.
Just totally ignore it. But because I know you've got to teach soon, so just going to quickly whiz 2 questions past you. First of all, anyone that's like singing, wants to sing, getting in the industry, what kind of tips can you give for them quickly, just to like source work, and like any good tips for looking after your voice? Because obviously, like you said, it's your instrument. It's really, really important.
Right, so quick fire tips would be to get yourself a singing teacher. If you can't afford a singing teacher, there are plenty of stuff online. Make sure you're doing your vocal warm-ups before you do your gigs. I don't always do it, but I feel like my voice is trained enough now to know the techniques. So if you've not got a singing teacher, definitely be doing your warm-ups on stage, before you go on stage, sorry. I would say as well, tips for getting into the industry. Although it was hard work, I do think the holiday parks are good for you. They do open doors, you do meet people, you do learn your craft for every single like thing in the arts, the presenting, the DJing, the singing, the confidence building, all of that. I think it is a really good start. Other than that, I would say do festivals or do the amateur dramatic stuff, which is again free to be in. There's in every town, there's always that happening. Vocal health. So I think the best thing for you to be doing every day is to get, it's called the Dr. Nelson's inhaler. If you've got a bad throat, they are incredible. There's a steamer, do it once a day if you're feeling ill. Ginger is your best friend. Ginger is anti-inflammatory. So if you've ever got a sore throat, ginger, honey, lemon together, hot, boom.
Perfect. Magic mix.
Magic mix. Just make sure you keep on top of your fruit and veg. Your blueberries and your kiwis are amazing for hydrating your voice as well.
Perfect. There we go. Top tips. Love it. And
Top
also,
tips.
because the podcast is called Born to Do This, I have to ask everybody at the end, do you think you were born to do this? Is this the profession you were born to do?
I was 1000% born to do this.
Yes, you was. You was. I don't think I'm ever going to get someone that's going to say no, though, because the reason I want to speak to these people is because you've done such amazing things in your career so far, and you're not anywhere near stopping. So I'm always expecting a yes, but you absolutely were. Thank you for that. It's been great speaking to you.
Thank you. Yeah, you too. I've actually really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it. I know. Right, you get teaching.
I know. Off I go. Back to the grind.
Yeah.
But yeah, lovely to see you. Take care, and good luck with everything that's going on there. Good luck with the DJing.
I know. Woo. Well,
Yay.
I'll be coming to you, the expert.
You're in the best place possible for it.
This is it. Watch this.
All right. Take care.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.